Hello there, good evening and welcome. Every moment of the day, events break from the nation's federal capital city, Abuja, by the critical players of the different sectors of our economic and socio-political landscape. What we do on this program, therefore, is to relieve these issues and happenings to your living room on a weekly basis. This is Abuja Dispatch, and my name is Abuja Arobodo. Let's commence this episode by looking at those stories that made up our news headlines in the last 7 days.
President Muhammadu Buhari says the federal government will allow the system exhaust itself and wait for pronouncement from state governments which set up panels to probe police brutality in the country. The president spoke at State House, Abuja, while receiving in audience the United States Secretary of State, Mr. Anthony Blinken. On the recent removal of Nigeria from the watch list of countries violating religious freedom, which Blinken said was based on facts, President Buhari expressed the country's appreciation, noting that there was freedom of worship in Nigeria and no one is discriminated against on the basis of his or her faith. Mr. Blinken said America and Nigeria have diverse challenges, but a common denominator is security and hope for better partnerships. President Muhammadu Buhari has directed ministries, departments and agencies to study the latest report of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies on how best to ensure effective policy design and implementation with a view to implementing some of its recommendations. The report, entitled Getting Things Done, Strategies for Policy and Program Implementation in Nigeria, was presented to the President on Thursday by the Senior Executive Course 43-2021 of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPSS, Guru, Plateau State. The President assured the course participants and that it would be treated with the seriousness and urgency it deserves, adding that the gaps between policy design and programs implementation must be closed in order for the country to continue to make meaningful progress. The Senate has mandated its committees on petroleum, downstream and gas to, as a matter of urgency, investigate the causes of the explosion that rocked Ladipo, Mushin area of Lagos State on Tuesday and report back to the upper chamber with their findings. The gas explosion that occurred at Ojekunle Street close to the Ladipo spare parts market in Lagos left 5 dead, with evacuation ongoing from the scene. The resolutions of the Senate were sequel to a motion sponsored by lawmaker representing Lagos West, Senator Adiola Olamilekun. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has also urged the National Emergency Management Authority and other sister agencies on response to immediately provide material support for victims of the gas explosion in Mushin, Lagos. Minister of Sports and Youth Development, Mr. Sunday Dare, said his ministry has embarked on a number of programs to retain young Nigerian athletes who have recently discovered in national and continental meets, adding that the government is determined to create a better template for youth to trust government's programs and policies. Mr. Sunday Dare was speaking at the media briefing coordinated by the Presidential Communication Team. The minister said Moshood Abiola Stadium will soon be opened for the Nigerian Super Eagles for their home matches as efforts are being concluded to reopen the newly rehabilitated sports edifice.
Welcome back. Issues of leadership and good governance have been of great concern since attainment of independence in 1960. Despite abundant human and natural resources, management of public wealth have continued to hamper the pursuits of national development in the country. On Dateline tonight, our focus reveals that low economic and development indices have direct links to the leadership question. Stay with us.
The roles of leaders in any given organized society are vital for the development and sustenance of such society. Leaders are expected to have a clear vision and well-articulated agenda on how to ensure that followers key into this agenda using the instruments of mass mobilization and effective communication. For Nigeria, getting leadership right has been a recurring debate since its independence in 1960. Most Nigerian leaders are accused of lacking the requisite vision, passion, and character for political leadership. As the major political parties gear towards evolving fresh leaders through their congresses, it behoves on the structures that would produce these leaders to do so in the overriding interest of the nation as a whole.
When a leader creates a platform, submission will become inevitable. Are you getting it now? But when there is no vision, the people perish. So as a follower, I want to follow someone that is leading me right, someone that is dispensing value. So when there is no value, when you're not leading me right, there's no way I can follow you.
If you give positions to the youth, they mess it up. The reason is that prerequisite knowledge and leadership skill to carry others along, to shift from this paradigm, this acquire everything. You see, somebody stealing money he doesn't need is because the value system of Nigeria as it were have so much been destroyed that money is now speaking over capabilities and abilities and influence. So the youth of tomorrow, it depends on who is counting the tomorrow. But if it is the universal tomorrow that we all know, the youth of Nigeria as it were, I think 70% cannot be the leaders of tomorrow.
Building this nation together is the only viable way to go. Now, when you have elders in any society who have seen many things, who have experienced many things, one of the benefits that the nation has is that these elders can take the wisdom of the years and the experiences they have and say, if we want to continue to have a peaceful, productive country, then these are the things we should do. These are the things we should avoid. So we have to be thinking about these things. And as we think about these things, help other people to think along.
Despite Nigeria's rich resource endowment, she has consistently ranked low in various international assessments on human development and good governance. The United Nations Development Programme Human Development Index, the UNDP-HDI, in its 2020 report ranks Nigeria 161 out of 189 countries. It is estimated that about 70% of 200 million Nigerians live below poverty level of less than $1 per day. These low economic and development indices have been attributed to poor leadership and absence of good governance in Nigeria.
For Nigeria to be able to make a lot of progress, Nigeria must begin to invest a lot of resources in human capital, more specifically leadership development. If you have a critical mass of people who are optimized, who are developed, who are groomed, then you have a critical mass of people with the right talent, the right giftings, the right technical and leadership competencies that will be able to drive progress in our country. If there's any time Nigeria needs quality leadership capital, it is now.
For Nigerian leaders, I would say they should go back to the drawing board. Remember when we used to have the former government talking about Vision 2020. So where is Vision 2020 today? It's not in place. So now we now have the SDG, which was introduced by the UN in 2015. Now talking about no poverty in Nigeria, but today we are the world center of poverty. Talking about unemployment, over 33.5% unemployment in Nigeria. So the only way we can lead this great company, because we are endowed with resources and we need to go back to the drawing board. Let's set a vision that will outlive us, not just...
If everything rises and falls on the leadership shoulders, then there is the need to evolve fresh curriculum into the nation's education system that will allow tutorship on leadership. Unless frantic efforts are set in motion, the product of the nation's education won't necessarily meet evolving societal needs.
it is time for us to begin to produce leadership based on potential. When people begin to go into courses they love, and they have passion for, then it's easier for leadership, Nigeria to be able to groom those who are passionate, who are going to create, even those who are into fashion industry. They're going into fashion schools. We don't need universities in that regard.
For me, I'm not going to dwell about whether we are doing or we are not doing. Right now, we are going to start doing, even if we haven't done, because we can't keep dwelling on deficit of leadership. We have to take the baton and move on. So we are going to do that right now and much later and beyond.
The quest for quality leadership and good governance is the aspiration of citizens in most countries of the world. This is because the task of harnessing scarce resources in pursuit of human and national development is related to the quality and output of leadership. The history of the development of great nations suggests that versatile leaders played a vital role in the transformation of their societies through good governance. Thus, the quality of citizens' life and the overall development of a nation is a reflection of governance in the nation.
Welcome back. Reliance on importation, introduction of 7.5% value-added tax, as well as devaluation of the naira have been adduced as major reasons responsible for the surge in the prices of liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, also known as cooking gas. On our next segment, we seek further clarifications on these and other issues from an oil and gas industry player. Join us. Welcome to the Split Views segment of our program, Abuja Dispatch. And on Split Views tonight, we take on the chairman, Global Gas Limited, Mr. Kenneth Yellow. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, sir.
Now, sir, as a stakeholder in the oil and gas sector, what reasons will you give to Nigerians on the streets for the sudden increase in the cooking gas, the gas that you used to cook in their homes, normal gas?
You can compare this to a farmer who grows yam. You grow your yam, you harvest the yam, you sell every tuber of yam, and then you ask the person that bought the yam from you, please, can I borrow some money from you so I can add to what you just paid me to buy pando to feed my family? That's what's happening. We have no reason to have all our gas going to LNG. Makes no sense. Nigeria is a huge market. Nigerians have the appetite for it. And all we need to do is it's like there's an ice cream in the United States. It's the brand is called Bluebell ice cream. And the slogan is, we eat all we can and sell the rest. You have to feed your family first before you begin to export things. If you were to look at the real cost of gas to Nigerians, I promise you, you're paying more than your 10,000 naira per 12.5 kg you're talking about, because today people are cutting off trees. So you look at the environmental consequence of that. You go to the north, the Sahara is encroaching. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So if you look at the overall consequence of what's taking place, we have no business sending all our gas to LNG. We just really have all this train, whatever. LNG is a bad business for us, really. I mean, I'm not saying government has their reasons, but we need to take care of Nigerians first. Nigeria is a huge market. We're a sophisticated market. If we can just have the right policies in place to ensure that we take care of ourselves first, and then whatever we have surplus, then we can market. Anybody who tells you that, they're not, because most times the excuses they have is, when they bring the gas into a domestic market, they don't get value. People don't pay them for it. That's not true. Policies can take care of that. People pay for pay for your petrol. Don't you pay your petrol? I mean, if a taxi driver, if you can't go to a petrol station, just take petrol for free. You have to pay for it. Same thing with the gas. We just need to have the right policies in place and the right enforcements in place, and then I think that's important.
The Petroleum Industry Bill was recently assented to by Mr. President. Of what empirical benefit do you think this bill, this act as it were now, will bring to the table?
Well, quite frankly, the PIB has been an issue on the burner for quite some time, and was just passed just a few months ago. So, from my individual, the way I look at it, quite frankly, the PIB is good, but we as a nation, as a people, within the industry, we do not have, not just the sophistication, we don't have the capacity to be able to truly, let me use an analogy to explain myself. For instance, okay, you are a Nigerian, you are now given access to an asset. You don't have the resource to operate that asset, to explore, exploit, and operate that asset. What do? You now go back to the IOCs that have the deep pocket, that have the resources to now lend you funds to be able to operate that field or that asset. Before they lend funds to you, they would have cornered all the benefits out of the asset to themselves. You as an individual, you don't have the leverage to be able to negotiate with them. But Nigeria as a nation, a sovereign nation, is in a better position to negotiate with the IOCs and make sure they have value. But you as an individual, you don't have value. All you're looking for is just how you're going to be the next black sheikh in Nigeria. I own an oil block, I own an oil field, and own an asset, and then they give you an asset, maybe through, because sometimes the process through which some people obtain these assets, it's not really through a real due process, just through some relationships people have, and you have these assets, and then you just go, now you begin. There are a lot of people with assets running around the country, running around the world looking for investors. You get what I'm saying? They lack the capacity. They lack both the financial capacity, technical capacity, no experience. But they've been handed this huge asset. The country doesn't benefit from it. I don't know if my explanation makes sense to you, if you know what I'm saying. So the PIB, everybody's all clapping for it. It's all fine and good, but it's not something that I don't think it's a priority for us at this point, because we lack the capacity to do a lot of the things that needs to be done in that space. The government NNPC, the government should have, tried to position themselves at that. Have an NNPC better managed in terms of how to interface with the national oil companies or the IOCs, whatever, but to just give up blocks to individuals, be difficult here.
Thank you. As a stakeholder in the oil and gas sector, why do you think the oil companies, particularly these foreign oil companies, are against digital metering in Nigerian oil energy sector generally?
There's no rocket science to this. It's just about the willpower of Nigerians to want to do what is right for Nigerians, for the good of Nigerians, for the progress of Nigeria, for the development of Nigerians. It's all within us to do what's right for us. There's no rocket science to it. These are things, you can't blame it on the oil companies. The oil companies are not the ones driving this. You follow what I'm saying? Most of the multinationals in the country, the NOCs, are run by Nigerians. You follow what I'm saying? So it's just, we need to do what's best for Nigeria. Besides, oil is actually getting obsolete now. You have the climate issues. And so if we're still in that world of oil to save us, I think we're in trouble.
Gas economy accounts for about 80% of the national income, And meanwhile, there is this global call for renewable energies in form of wind and all sorts of options. Now, how will you juxtapose this with the monolithic economy that Nigeria is? I mean, we are depending on oil, and right now there's this shift to other options globally.
We as a nation, we as a people, we failed to better manage our resources. It's now responsible for carrying the foreign exchange need for the rest of this pie. Do you follow what I'm saying? Agriculture that represents about 60+% of our GDP, we don't export anything. Because Nigerians need to begin to become educated on how their country is run. It is absolutely very important. For us. Everybody must be, we're all stakeholders. Everybody must participate in this, must understand why the Naira is at almost 600 Naira to $1. We must understand why. Because we produce nothing. We export nothing. Even our crude, it's a swap. All our refineries are down. So we begin to ask ourselves, why? You have the demographics of between 18 to 35 or 36 years of the Nigerian population. We're a young population. This group, these demographics, represents about 75% or so of the population of the country. And then I can assure you that more than 60-70% of them are unemployed. That's correct. It doesn't matter what somebody tries to tell anybody. Almost unemployed or underemployed. Now, you and I can sit down here right now. I can use my calculator from this telephone. You and I can do a simple back of the envelope arithmetic. And you will see, if we can bring some of that gas, even if it's subsidized by the government, to bring some of that gas back, the federal government tells NNPC, their joint venture, tells their JV partners in the NLNG, that look, we want to take some of our gas to fuel our nation. Yeah, do I try to do that? If we did that, and we can get all those hardwares, those power plants, just get them fuel. Let's try to increase power generation in the country. That should be our number one priority. Once we do that, I promise you, and then just creating an environment where people can trust. People can trust that if I did what I'm supposed to do under the law, this is going to be the results. Do you get what I'm saying? If we can do that, people will set up industries. Manufacturing industries. There's a huge market here. And people will get employed. Government, just do your part. Just do your part. Do your part. And there will be a beautiful country. Nigeria's a lovely country. It's a great country.
The chairman, Global Gas Limited, Mr. Kenneth Yellow. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, sir.
We're working with Nigeria to address security challenges, including those posed by Boko Haram, ISIS West Africa, and other terrorist and extremist groups. In meetings with the President, with the Vice President, with the Foreign Minister, we discussed the importance of a comprehensive approach that builds effective security forces, addresses the underlying drivers of extremism, and respects Nigerians' basic human rights. The United States is committed to helping Nigeria do that by continuing to invest in our security partnership and the institutions that strengthen the rule of law and that hold accountable those who commit human rights abuses, corruption, and other acts that harm the Nigerian people. By tackling these issues, we can help to address some of the problems that have been key drivers of insecurity. To that end, let me say that we welcome the conclusion of the investigation by the Independent Inquiry established by the Lagos State government to look into the events that took place near Lekki toll gate in Lagos in October of 2020. This, of course, was amidst the NSAR's protests, including the killings and other alleged abuses by the security forces. We anticipate and look to the state and the federal government's response to the findings and expect those to include steps that ensure accountability and address the grievances of the victims and their families.
That is our package tonight on Abuja Dispatch. For further information, comments, and suggestions, you can reach us out on any of our various social media platforms. That is how far time can permit us tonight on Abuja Dispatch. A week from now, we bring you another refreshing package. Same time, same station. My name is Adegboyega Arobodo. Have a good night.